Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We are live. Good to have you all. Tom
Hey,
Smith, good to
how you
have you
doing,
back.
man?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm good. I hope you had a happy Halloween.
Oh, so great. So great.
Did
Kids' first
you?
Halloween, you know.
Yeah. Did you? What did Everly dress up as?
She dressed up as Halloween. It was like not a real costume. It was one of these sort of just whole Halloween themed outfits.
Wow. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
So that's like very second level, cerebral for a 13-month-old.
That was
So that's
and
awesome.
yours?
She was a pumpkin.
Was
We workshopped a lot of costumes, and there were very few that she was willing to stay in. But we got this pumpkin, and it really worked out well. So she was the Great Pumpkin. I was Charlie Brown. My wife Dorothy was Linus, and we had a great time. She didn't cry the whole time, so it was a huge win. Huge win.
That is a huge win, my friend.
Yeah.
Well, welcome everybody, and happy belated Halloween. Hope you all had a whiskey or two, along with I don't know what did everybody do for Halloween? Was there any whiskey involved? Any Halloween?
Yeah. Were there any hip flasks by any chance?
Oh, yeah,
I had mine.
I did see a lot of dads walking around with, drinking beers this Halloween. I kind of, just obviously Tom and I are new parents. I've realized that that's what it is for adults. Halloween is kind of a little bit of a booze fest, depending on the neighborhood and the region of the U.S. Or maybe it doesn't depend. But shout out to John Kroll, who says, "Tom, you look very lumbersexual chic today." That's well, quite a
drink
compliment.
it in. Don't be shy. Looking's for free, but touching's going to cost you. Just saying.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Daniel Duggar. I think it was first in the chat. It says, howdy, Daniel. And I've seen a lot of comments from you guys just about what you're sipping on. Adam Clary says,
nice.
Enjoying a 134.6. Happiness is a warm Goa today. Milky herb split pea soup and elegant smoke. Great description there, Adam. Love it, he says. Jeremy Burns is in the house. Evening, all from Houston. And Robert G. Evening, Robert. Steve Balzac, good to see you. Greetings from Boston. And Steve is sipping on a 128.10. Dramming the Upside Down. What a name on that one, too.
Nice.
Dramming the Upside Down. Yeah, everybody, welcome back to the channel. As we said, this is the November Outturn preview tasting. And if you're new to the channel, or if this is the first time you've seen one of our streams, the way it goes down is quite simple. Tomorrow, the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, the American chapter, is releasing, that is us, by the way, we're releasing a whole new selection of new single cask whiskeys for members here in the US. And so Tom and I are going to be tasting through a selection before the release, obviously right now. And normally, Tom, I love you for this. Normally we've been tasting 5 whiskeys and then we talk about the rest of them at the end. Tom has made the selection himself this time. And we've bumped that up a little bit.
Yeah. So for you tonight, Ben, 6 whiskeys, a solid half dozen. And I mean, I'm staring at like 6 different flavor profiles, a few different regions, and I'm really excited, man. It's some great stuff. I mean, obviously November, it's kind of whiskey sipping season, kind of high whiskey season for us. And, the air's chilling a bit, no matter where you are in the country, and time to get cozy. And we're bringing some really fun whiskeys this month for sure.
Yeah. Without giving anything away, Tom, I mean, because for everybody watching here,
I'm terrible at keeping secrets, Ben. Terrible.
Well, no,
okay, go ahead.
Is there anything? Can you give anybody a hint or a little bit of a spoiler without spoiling any of the whiskey specifically? I'm just curious to know what are you excited for? Maybe if you can't answer that without revealing, you can go ahead and pass that. But because you did pick this list yourself, and I'm quite impressed just looking at this. Is there anything you want to kind of tease at before we get going?
Geez, I mean, there was. I mean, we're human, right? I mean, we're supposed to say, "Oh, we love all our children equally," blah 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 blah, and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I mean, I have a favorite child too. It's really easy for us, right? But in any case, I'm looking at these whiskeys, and there was one for sure that I was like literally slobbering over. I was going to release it a little earlier in the year. I pushed it back. Now it's finally time. So I'm really excited for one in particular, but all of them look freaking dynamite, man. I mean, a good mix of ages. We have some youngsters, we have some elders, some kind of halfway or so, and really fun barrel protocols. So yeah, and probably one of the cooler like young and sprightlies to kick it off that I think we've seen in a little while.
Mhm.
So can we get rolling or what?
I'm stoked. Let's get
All right.
rolling. And
All right, cool.
was it fun? Daniel Duggar says absolutely whiskey weather here, and amen, man. It is time to get into whiskey. It is November 1st. If there's not a time to drink whiskey,
Right.
or
I can't believe it's November.
high-end whiskey, this is it. Let's jump into it.
I can't believe it's November,
You go
by
ahead.
the way.
You kick us off.
Crazy.
Let's all have a dram.
Sure.
First of all, for everybody at home, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being with us this evening.
Yes.
Pour yourself a dram if you haven't already. Raise it up. Let's get going.
All
Tom,
right.
start us off.
Cool. So our first whiskey, as I mentioned, is a young and sprightly. You can see from the cap here, but not a 26, Adam. But you're in the right region, just a little further north on the coast. So this is cask number 52.40, sweet and zesty sea air, 7-year-old in a first fill ex bourbon barrel, and for young and sprightly, pretty mellow 58.4% ABV. So a really fun, I mean, very, very coastal, like literally on the coast. So you're getting all of that lovely maritime influence. So 52.40. Very excited for this to kick things off. So here we go.
What's yours, Sam? All right. Yeah, definitely sort of it was a bizarre, I think, find to see this Northern Highland distillery in this style, this young bourbon barrel, and so I'm stoked as well.
Right. I feel like the last few that we've had have been oily and coastal.
Mm-hmm.
In as these particular whiskeys age, they do gain that richness, that texture. It's nice to see a younger expression from this distillery. And for the most part, we usually see these in either refill, like less active barrels, or some kind of sherried craziness. So to have this in a first fill ex bourbon, nice active cask, giving you a bunch of those kind of bourbony notes to go along with the fairly like saline driven expression. Yeah, nice color, huh?
Yeah, I'm just showing the whiskey for everybody here. It's interesting, like a little bit of sediment in the liquid here. I don't know if that's just cork. I don't think so. No, that's like.
Is that your dirty glass? Maybe, I don't know. No,
I don't know.
I don't have anything
like natural elements of the whiskey. I'd like to think at least.
Right.
On the nose, I mean, it's so bright and fresh, but not at any way like alcoholic. You would think for sometimes a 7-year-old whiskey in a bourbon barrel can be really, really spirity. I think this is a first fill bourbon barrel. It's fresher, more oak influence, more development. Really, really unique.
Yeah, really bright stone fruits coming at me. Some white peach.
White peach, yeah. I'm thinking like a the coastal, because this is a distillery off the coast. We've talked about that. The coastal element is there, but you really got to look for it. I the first nosing this a couple times, it wasn't that apparent, but now I'm getting a little bit of sort of raw fish. Which,
okay.
Which we know, it depends who you are. I mean, that might sound like a nice tasting note for some of you, but it's trust me, it's good. It's there.
Like we talking like sashimi, or just like straight out of Pike Street Fish Market? Or
I'm thinking more like a ceviche. It's like, because it's like a little bit acidic too. There's some tropical fruit element with a little bit of raw fish. I mean, it's really, really bright. Sort of like afternoon on the coast.
I got to tell you, Ben, the power of suggestion is remarkable, because now I'm picking up on kind of citrusy, like some lime notes.
Yeah. It's a
more. The tropical is there. I mean, I still get my peachy kind of character, but now there's a bit more, almost like a touch of underripe mango. Not like juicy, like oozing mango, but oh yeah, maybe just a touch of that kind of jalapeno spice in the back. Fresh, very, very fresh.
And a comment from Ed Patrick who says, guys, you should open your lips when you nose. I think that's a great suggestion, Ed. And if anyone hasn't done that, I would suggest that trying that as well. Because for me, I feel like I've I've been doing this for so long, so many times, where I've gotten to a point where I was like opening for a few years and now I'm kind of closing, and it just depends. I go back and forth a little bit, but yeah, great tip to sort of just, I think, dissipate some of the alcohol influence and really just pick up more aroma.
Yeah, I still open. I still keep the mouth open. Yeah, it definitely helps with that, with the prickle, the alcoholic effect on the nose.
All right, I'm going in. Cheers, all.
Cheers.
Happy Monday.
Surprisingly, sorry, itchy nose. Surprisingly creamy up front. Like,
damn.
Framed by gorgeous spice and wow, that's nice.
Dude, that's a bruiser. That thing's hot. I mean, it's not.
Is it? Yeah.
I don't know. We were talking about our palates earlier. I think my palate's maybe fresher than yours right now. You're we're just having that discussion before we went live. Yeah, that's a hell of a start. It's bright. It's full. It's flavorful. It's non-alcoholic. I still maintain that from the aroma too. It's not sort of burning, but it's just like really intense. And yet at the same time, it's very light and airy, which I like for a bit of a unique experience. Something that's intense but not so heavy. It's a different bit of a curveball.
Yeah, I'm getting less of the tropical fruit that I got on the nose and a bit more, almost kind of, cereal is a strong word, but a touch of maltiness in the mid palate. Maybe even like some kind of like a dried hay kind of aspect to it.
Shout out to John Kroll. Prediction: after Dram 5, Tom ditches the flannel and gives us a gun show. Will that happen, Tom? I'm going to bet with John on that too. We've never done 6 whiskeys. We have 6 tonight, and I think usually after 5, I think you're probably in the habit of taking.
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not paid enough to disrobe on TV here.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's right. Yeah, after Dram 5, yeah, you might be in business, John.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure. Too soon to tell.
Free ticket to the gun show, says Scott.
Goodness gracious.
Good to see you, Scott. Yeah.
I could keep going on with the Will Ferrell references here, but I won't. I'll refrain.
So let's we got a lot to taste tonight. Tom, want to wrap this one up? Final thoughts? I've just added some water.
I haven't diluted. I don't think I'm going to. It's a delicious whiskey without water. And that freshness throughout. The salinity returns after a couple of sips, kind of acclimating to the whiskey on the palate. Kind of salinity kind of dances around the sides of the palate, and that's just really, really lovely fresh stuff. Very, very nice.
It's such a whiskey that you would only taste really in a distillery. I mean, obviously we have it here in a bottle, and it's just so different from most of the Scotch whiskeys out on the shelves. It's really raw.
Yeah,
it has such good character. It's so unique, so different. The coastal influence. I'll just to sort of conclude, it's definitely there. You really have to look for it a little bit, but once you find that sort of just wafted salinity, man, it's really complex. It's so different from a typical young Speyside whiskey, and I love that about it. So good pickup.
Well, I mean, it's pretty atypical from just about everything else we've tasted from this distillery.
Yeah.
Just that it's really a cool dram for sure.
Yeah. For a Benjamin, it's
very nice.
Consider. All right, where are we going from here, my friend?
We are going to the Highlands, to the Eastern Highlands. I'm pretty sure that you and I mean, I've been with the Society since 2016. You joined in 2018. I don't think we've released one of these. If we have, forgive me, but I don't think we've released one. So our next whiskey this evening is a sweet, fruity, and mellow. And this is Distillery number 19. Oh yeah.
And it's firm and classical. You know, everybody.
It is firm. It is classical.
Everybody's Googling right
It
now.
is
What is Distillery 19? I could just
18 years old.
Firm and classical. That is a classic age.
Yeah. Also a first fill ex bourbon barrel. 18 years in that barrel. So let's see how that kind of panned out. This distillery's in the Eastern Highlands.
Oh my God.
And typically short fermentation leads to a pretty rich cereal-driven make. As it sits around in the cask for a while, that can sometimes shift into some more like waxy kind of texture. So let's see how this panned out over 18 years.
I just smelled it from like a foot away. I can't.
Ben is nonplussed. Clearly,
this is. Usually we have to get like through a few whiskeys till I have this experience. This is. Oh man.
Ooh.
Yeah. Right.
Jesus. That is like.
That
is beautiful.
Yeah, it's a symphonic aroma. There's so much going on here.
Beautiful nose.
I've just only nosed this, and it's got a little bit of element of worn leather. It's over ripened fruits, a bit of perfume. That's a broad thing. Perfume. It's you know,
it's perfumed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on, I know perfume.
Wow. Damn. Those aromas are just leaping out of there.
I think the depth is just like that's what caught me off guard right away.
Well,
such a beautiful aroma.
That's like a really gorgeous fruit salad. I mean, at first I was getting more kind of like those little tiny wild strawberries off the vine, like that kind of very vibrant aroma, and now it's sort of expanding into more citrus and tropical. And
you know, I think we
big
don't
old mix of fruit.
But on that point in time, I mean, we don't see this is 18 years in a first fill bourbon barrel. You don't see that too often. I mean, we get to see some of this society here, but normally a whiskey that age, you tend to be, you know, you found in a refill bourbon cask of some sort. So this is really a fresh bourbon barrel, really concentrating those fruits over 18 years, which is just pretty wild. And Olaf says, finally a 19 underrated distillery. Yeah, finally indeed. As we said, it's probably the first time Tom and I, we've come across one. Being part of this team, and you said 2016 is when you started, so yeah, it's been a while. What is this? 58.1%. I'm going in, my friend. Oh man. It's like just a perfect neat. It's like, oh my God.
You're talking about packing punches. I mean, that packs a pretty good punch for 18 years.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that has a lot of verve. That has a lot of intensity. It immediately just like coats the entire palate in a really gorgeous kind of like starbursty texture. Man.
The tasting note on bottle here says a delightful, classical, and deeply quaffable Highland style dram that balances old style and modern qualities with a plume, one to savor, with the British spelling of savor. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting the balance of old style and modern qualities, and I think that's what really got me from the very beginning. Is this smells just on the aroma like a whiskey of yesteryear. I mean, it was head like that. Just in the aromatic properties.
On the nose, the more kind of fruit-driven aromas jumped out at me. But you had mentioned leather and kind of a muskiness, and that secondary character really comes to me on the palate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the up front, you know, a lot of that beautiful kind of silky fruit, but then mid palate to finish, it's getting more into the leather, like a very old, subtle, super classy leather. You know, I mean, we're not talking saddles here, more like Italian footwear or something.
Yeah, this is definitely the whiskey that, you know, you pick up and you share with somebody who's like, you know, you meet somebody that says, I like whiskey. You get to talk to them and you're like, okay, well, maybe they're they're pretty new to whiskey just based on sort of their
Mm.
experience. And this is kind of the whiskey that you'll give it to them, and it will probably be the best whiskey they've ever had in their lives. You know, this is a gateway sort of experience. I think once you go down, have something like this, you realize that's why we're all here.
Yeah, it's very much
geared up for that.
Very much a gateway for sure. Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful. What do you think? This is the first Society 19 that I'm getting to taste, and I am really, really impressed with this thing. This is a beautiful, beautiful whiskey.
Yeah, Mark Broder says so. $185 for an 18. Very solidly priced for this one too. Yeah, I mean,
we try.
Prices based on a number of factors, but definitely, I think so. So I'm just looking here.
This is a whiskey I don't want to see in sherry. I mean, it's such a beautiful expression all on its own. I mean, that's really, really nice.
You would miss out. Well, I guess I think a lot of the what we're experiencing is obviously achieved by the first fill bourbon barrel, the fresh, high concentration of bourbon cask influence over 18 years. But you're right. If you throw in a wine cask on this one, you miss out of a lot.
Yeah.
Of course it would be different, but you wouldn't. This experience, I don't know. It's not one. I think the first one we had tonight, I feel like that was. If you're experienced with whiskey, I think you can probably appreciate it. But if you're new to it, it might be just a lot in your face all at once. This is one I feel like it is easy to.
But that's why you dilute too, right? I mean, we're like slugging full strength, no problem,
Yeah.
But we're used to that. But I think with any of our whiskeys, you can certainly, if it's a bit in your face, just throw some water in there, and then you can kind of take it at your own pace.
I'm gonna add a dash of water. I've been going neat, man. It's so good, neat.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I think my dropper is back.
And we'll move on because we have 4 more whiskeys, which I'm stoked for. Oh. Ridiculous. So, what do you guys think? What's everyone sipping on right now? That's a question for the chat. Curious to know if what's in your glass. What have you been enjoying lately? And anything from a recent outturn. I'd be curious to hear for everybody at home tonight, or wherever you might be, traveling, in an Uber, listening on a headphone. I've watched some of these streams when you guys have been doing those, and I've been in a car, and
oh,
so good.
Yeah, with the water, the fruit comes back. I mean, it's really, to me, it's really kind of a fruit forward situation going on here. It's really nice. It reminds me a bit. I mean, in a different way. I think this might be a little more elegant than the 78.42 that we released in for the Highland Festival. The hats off to Mr. Ross.
Yeah. That was.
I see those in the same kind of vein.
That was a really good whiskey. This is like this is an experience I haven't had in a while.
Yeah.
So I think it's oh man, I'm looking.
It's really nice. And we both keep looking off to the side. We're like, sorry, folks. We're just like staring at these bottles, like,
what's coming next? We're assholes, Tom. We're sitting here.
Yeah, what are you
all
gonna
the great whiskey.
Someone's got to be. Someone's got to be that person.
Yeah.
So
let's so final thoughts on this, man. I just think it's a good pickup, no matter what. I'm gonna. This is special.
I mean, there's value. There's a lot of value to be found, in a lot of our bottlings. But for a release this rare, I mean, it's only the 52nd cask we've bottled from them. That's not a very high number. I think that's a really solid acquisition for those of you who are into that sort of old school Highland style.
Yeah.
Oh, and the finish just keeps going, doesn't it? I'm like picking up on like new things now. Like
a lot of responses in chat here about, I asked a question, what are you sipping on? A lot of responses. I really appreciate everybody seems to be sipping on some Society whiskey. Alden said 122.40 Smoky Oddity. Smoky Oddity.
Smoky to a T.
Smoky to a T. Okay, yeah. Listen, I'm bad at typos too, so totally get it. Alden. John Kroll says Driftwood Barbecue. Pam is sipping on 16.52. I saw one here, Multi-Alti, 68.35 Meditation and Orchard. Love that name. Also in a first fill bourbon cask. There's a lot of great whiskeys here. It sounds like, man, okay, so I don't feel so bad sipping all this great whiskey in front of everybody, because everybody's got something at home that I would love to share as well. Let's move on.
We're all in the same awesome boat.
Yeah.
You know, that's fun.
That sucks. All
right. Shall we move on?
Let's go on. What we got? Number 3.
Okay, number 3. So, we've done two first fill ex-bourbon barrels. So I think now it's time to bring some sherry to the table. And we will do so with actually another distillery, which is, certainly no stranger to our releases, but I feel like it's been a few months. I feel like we haven't seen this guy in a while, and it's really nice to have him back. This is Distillery 41. Cask 41.142, jam-packed with darkness. Very nice. 13 years old, in 2 different casks, both of which were ex-sherry. So you're looking at, I want to say 11 years in an ex-Oloroso, a refill Oloroso butt, and then 2 years in a first fill ex-Pedro Jimenez cask. So all kinds of sherry coming at you, but strip away all that sherry, and you have a really meaty kind of make anyway. So you're talking full throttle whiskey here, man. I'm pretty sure. Let's try it.
Double the pride, twice the fall. I'm pretty stoked for this one. I just like smelling whiskeys.
What the hell was that, man?
I don't know, man. This is like, I'm on cloud 9 with this lineup tonight, man.
There are always new sounds every time, Ben.
New whiskeys, Tom. Everyone's new. Every cask is different. In this case, 2 casks. I'm gonna give this a go. This is a proper sherry bomb, just right away. Oh, what is that sound you're making?
Oh,
super.
Yeah, that's my like, plate of like medium buffalo wings, like right on game day. That's my exhale right there.
Yeah, super savory. Like it definitely it's a carnivorous whiskey. I'm gonna use that adjective.
Yes, but, great adjective. Yeah, this is gorgeous color, Tom. Really, really nice. I mean, all of no color is ever added to any of our whiskeys, and with all the sherry maturation in the world, you can only achieve so much. But this is super dark as far as our selections are concerned. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Dang, it's like just candied, smoked meats and things. Like,
yeah, so it's not
spice cabinet.
It's interesting you mentioned spice cabinet, but for me it was when you think of like a sherry bomb, just by definition, you think of all the dark red fruits, cinnamons, nutmegs, sort of the herbal quality. This one's not as spicy for me. It's more savory, a bit more subdued. Like, and just maybe it's just I don't know. Maybe it's more mellow. Maybe that's what it is. Well, you know what I mean? I'm just nosing. It's not a sort of in your face, which I understand that style can be a turnoff for some people, like the heavy sherry bombs. It's all sherry matured whiskey right here, but I don't know. It's just so meaty.
It's also no sulfuric aspect whatsoever, which I think is important, because with a lot of these, sherry bombs, you can get a good whiff of that sulfur. There's nothing like that here. And I'm actually really picking up on spices, and I'm brought back to like holidays when I was a kid. Did you ever have mincemeat pie?
Oh yeah.
Right? Like, there's no meat in it. It's all fruit, but it's all that really kind of dark, raisiny, syrupy sweet fruit ensconced in spices. And that's did I call you Tom?
No,
Here. I didn't call you Tom, did I?
I saw that. Sorry, I was just. Oh my god, this whiskey's so good. You were talking to Tamar in the chat, and you did say you said nice color.
Oh yeah, right.
Um,
Yes. Okay.
and I thought you were complimenting yourself. Daniel seemed to think you were talking to me. And
Yeah,
whiskey
sure.
number three
Okay.
has got the best of you, but you were in fact talking to Tamar earlier.
I was talking to
Yeah.
Tamar. I should have qualified that.
Yeah.
I can understand how one might think I was simply speaking to myself.
This is a sherried whiskey that I have never had
Dang.
before. And I've
This
never
is
had
really good.
Talk to me about sort of the palate. What are you experiencing just tasting this thing?
I haven't gotten there yet. I'm still
Okay. Well,
I'm still kind of back in, like talking like 8, 10, 12 years old at
Okay.
Christmas with my grandparents coming to visit, and they always brought the mincemeat pie.
Okay. Well, I've already
still
had
there.
2 sips. I've loved listening to you talk about the aroma. I couldn't wait anymore. I think I'll take a moment. I don't want to spoil it for you, but what a luscious delivery. Like the texture is just absolutely brilliant. The flavor, again, it's such a mellow whiskey.
Yeah.
What is the ABV here?
Oh.
57.5. Maybe we're warmed
Yeah.
up.
I mean, the alcohol is there for sure. I mean, you feel the whiskey in the mouth, but there's so much deliciousness that's just coming at you that it's, who cares about the heat? I mean, who cares?
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
Yeah. So coming from Christopher Hoskin, who says, sounds like perfect whiskey for Thanksgiving. I was thinking, a lot of times when you think of these sherry bomb whiskeys, you think of like cold winter Christmas pudding type of, spirits. And a lot of sherry whiskeys are great for of that. I agree. This is more autumnal. It's a bit more mellow. It's not as spicy in your face. It's not as dessert-y. It's so savory. And for me on the palate, I get loads of like spiced beef jerky. Like it becomes really meaty, rather savory, sort of just on the palate. Never had a whiskey that tastes like meat quite like this.
Man,
this. I mean, 100%. This is we have a few to go, but this is my Thanksgiving whiskey too.
Golden raisins, right there. The UK loves to, they call them sultanas.
Yeah.
Right. So like sultanas, like drizzled, and
we can call them raisins.
Okay, I want to go back to my mincemeat pie.
Yeah.
So there was something called hard sauce. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
No. So my whole family basically was from Queens. So my grandfather was like, "Oh, we got to get the hard sauce," and it was like, "What the hell is this hard sauce?" So anyway, I found out later in life it was brandy. Like this sugary brandy sauce that they called hard sauce, and you'd smear that on your mincemeat. And Jesus, if this is not that tasting experience in a glass for me, very nostalgic, really nice, man. I mean, this is effing phenomenal whiskey. Like, it's really good.
Yeah, man, I'm like
really, really good. This wasn't even the one I was excited for, man.
Yeah, no, that's
like this is all of a sudden becoming the whiskey of the tasting so far for me.
It's so hard. It's so
flavor
hard.
is just exploding. But
the last one was so good too. I don't think people are here to watch.
I know. It's different. We need to keep these experiences separate because they are all very uniquely awesome. But this, damn, I just miss my grandparents really. So, it's nice to smell something that evokes that kind of memory, that olfactory memory, which is super cool.
The age is surprising, 13 years on paper. It seems a bit young for just the overall complexity and experience they had. I kind of forgot, what this was. Again, I'm looking ahead and looking behind. We said an 18-year-old. This is a younger, but again, I think I love that when you have a whiskey that sort of tastes beyond its age. It's always a good thing.
But is it as balanced as the Distillery 19 we just had? I'd say probably not. It's probably not as balanced.
I don't know. It's hard because they're so different.
They are very different. There are certainly angles to this whiskey as it works its way, through your palate. It's not all like silky all the way, but those angles are like awesome spice and dried fruit and meat and all kinds of different really like evocative flavors. So is that a bad thing? I don't think so. I mean,
There's a lot
it's
more on
really,
the surface,
yeah,
like it's just easier to pick these things out than the first couple whiskeys. But again,
yeah,
that's probably the impact of a sherry cask or a heavy cask influence sort of experience compared to the
yeah.
first two, which were on bourbon wood. I'm just speculating, but
Good stuff.
This is I'm gonna just
Really good.
this is my Thanksgiving whiskey right there. Well, we'll
Well,
see where we go.
so we had 30.108, right? Taste of Home. It was our gathering, one of our gathering casks, and I'm pretty sure that is just about out of stock. And that, I mean, in my estimation, was clearly a very solid kind of autumnal Thanksgiving type thing you're talking about here. With that now off the pitch, this is the one you got to grab for sure. I mean, for Thanksgiving, beyond Thanksgiving, just have that thing in your arsenal. I mean, this is going to impress people for sure.
Yeah, the reason
it's really really good.
I like this. I like guys. I mean, first of all, we all live in different climates and everything. The reason I like this one is because it is so savory. I was really interested to pair that with meat. I don't know about the bird turkey per se, but
well, I mean, turkey. I mean, turkey is fairly bland. The dark meat gives you a little bit more flavor, maybe the stuffing. But think about your sides. Like think about all the kind of spicy, earthy sides you're going to have as well. I mean, that's really what you're pairing with. Not so much the bird itself, but the accompaniments to the bird, and of course the dessert, which somebody tell me you're going to have a mincemeat pie. Make my Thanksgiving.
Yeah, coming from Haig about adding a lot of the tail end of the distillate to give it the savory flavor. I was kind of thinking that as well, but without really knowing for sure, the whiskey has.
Yeah, I'd have to look into the cuts there.
Yeah,
but it is. I mean, with these guys, it's actually a pretty long fermentation, but in the condensers, they actually have a lot more stainless steel than copper in the condenser. They want to minimize the copper conversation there, so they are intentionally creating a meatier new make through that choice in the distillation process. There you go. A little nugget for you, Ben, to go with your Thanksgiving whiskey.
Let's go to number 4. We have 3 more whiskeys to taste. We're kind of 40 minutes in. Man, this has been special already. Really, really, really fortunate to just have sip all of these, I think. But I think where we're going is where you want to go. Hold on. There's a better meme here. I don't know, something about no roads, where we're going there, Back to the Future. Anyway, the point is, I'm just
going. There are no roads.
Tom, I just know you've been waiting for this whiskey. Where we're going?
I've been waiting for this whiskey, man. I've been waiting for this whiskey for a little while. It is, ladies and gentlemen, what is this flavor profile? First one who answers me correctly gets a $25 gift card. What is this flavor profile? Take a look at the color. Take a look at the color. Are people still with us? Have they fallen asleep at the wheel?
Well, I don't know about the color correctiveness of.
Can you see the? Okay, well, I'm okay. If any members are who do we got? Oh, Evan Belt. If any members are colorblind out there, I apologize, and tell me and send me some medical documentation, and I'll give you a $100 gift card for that. But yeah, Evan Belt, Old and Dignified.
Actually, wait, hold on. Where was Evan? No, it was Daniel. What? Daniel, my apologies.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I?
Yeah,
I didn't.
I put it up on the screen here.
Did you?
Daniel,
sorry, Daniel. Oh my, Old and Dignified. Yes, forgive me.
But Evan did say Old and Dignified, baby.
Dignified.
Let's see the whiskey, Tom. Come on, let's go.
All right, dude. Okay, sorry. So this is Distillery 66, cast number 195, If These Walls Could Talk. This is a 23-year-old from Distillery 66, and it spent, I want to say, 21 years. I just want to double check this real quick while I am live on camera. I want to make sure it's 21 years. So just bear with me.
Well, okay. While you're doing that, Tom, I'm going to just take this thing.
Go ahead.
So, first of all, the name, like If These Walls Can Talk. I love suggestive names like that, like the names of whiskeys that just take you to a place, or just sort of just kind of escalate your thoughts, move sort of away from just sort of tasting notes or flavors. I guess some of these have been like that, but I just saw this on paper, like you said, like months ago. I was like, okay, that name,
yes,
it got me fired up. It's got to be good. Obviously, on the specs, the 23 years old, time in 2 different casks, including this STR Oloroso barrique, which is kind of interesting because I haven't seen that spelled out.
Yes. Okay. So it is 21 years in ex-bourbon, and the last 2 years in this first fill shaved, toasted, recharred Oloroso seasoned. Looks like we got a little bit of a typo there, Olorose, but that's all right. So that's a whole new cask we've never even heard of before.
I'm gonna recall the.
Oh my
Olorose.
goodness! Oh,
shout out Paige if you're watching right now. Shout out to your Olorose typo. That worked quite eloquently.
Paige, if you're watching, Paige is our brand manager, and she's doing an amazing job. So. Cheers to you, kiddo. Oh man,
she's so Olorose. This is
it's like maple syrup drizzled over smoked sausage for me. I knew this is why it's breakfast for me. It's like breakfast in a glass. At least my kind of breakfast.
Which is a color too. Pretty similar in color to the. I mean, for what it's worth, this is the last one we.
This might be but this might be a shade darker actually. I mean, you have the recharring and you have the Oloroso seasoning. Is that like kind of a double whammy with color impartment? I'm not sure, but
I'm just getting over the fact that it's distilled the 23rd of October, 97. The 90s are like so. Oh, it's so funny, Malty. I just see your comment right now. How in the world was 23 years ago? I was just thinking that too, but it's kind of funny how the 90s are back in style. They're fashionable again. 90s culture, fashion, music. I don't know. All of these things. 90s are in style, and here we have it, full circle on this one.
Jesus, this is awesome.
But to answer the question about how was this 23 years ago? Yeah.
Are you answering the question?
No,
are you simply reposing it?
I'm asking you. Can you give us more info about specifically?
About what? About 23 years ago?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's what
1997. I was a sophomore in college. I believe that the New York. I could talk about New York sports. Really, that's about it.
Well, no, I mean,
the Yanks were vying for their second World Series, but they didn't quite make it. They didn't make it again until '98.
No, it's just crazy. Yeah, it's crazy that the time has flown by, that it's 23 years ago. But yeah, it is. But at the same token, it's such a different world. And I do like to. I know age is just a number for some people. I do like to think about that, like where the world was when a whiskey like this was made. And that's why I think it's humorous to think that like the 90s are back in style in a lot of ways. And here we have something authentic. Just such a interesting 48.7%. And I didn't find it to be that faint or subdued at all. Just nosing it, there is a lot of vibrancy still, even at that.
There really is. And I mean, I guess that's what a shaved, toasted, recharred cask is going to give you. It's going to take something that's probably super mellow and kind of, kick it in the ass a little bit, increase that intensity. And now at first I was getting really kind of syrupy sweet notes going from an already pretty, ripe sherried cask into this one. And at first this was almost a bit more like confectionery in comparison, but now I'm getting a lot more of that cask treatment and less of the sweetness. So some really nice, like kind of old, like oak and leather, and And Jenna would say like old library books, stuff like that. It's just really cool. I mean, it's fun to kind of nose antiquity in a way.
I'm gonna go ahead and give it a taste right now. Just
Yeah, man.
Cheers.
I've been waiting months for this. Months, by the way. Is that not a divine whiskey?
Why do I just try to taste like
awesome
the
whiskey.
longest sip possible? Like, I was holding my breath underwater. That was, over
Jesus
10 seconds
Christ, that's
of
good
no
stuff.
oxygen.
That's really. Oh man. Oh,
it's super sooty. Like it's
Goodness
rustic.
gracious.
It's earthy. You get a lot of, for lack of a better word, dirt. Which I love. A bit of and the texture on this one too is like it's just like velvety. The wild lavender, like it's floral, it's earthy. It really is. It's not.
Yeah.
It's the least fruity whiskey we've had in this lineup for sure. There's more grain.
I mean, there's fruit in there, but it's like stewed.
Yeah. Yep.
It's been soaking in some kind of like Rioja wine or something like that. Almost like if you were to take sangria and kind of like reduce it into some sort of sauce or something like that. Like it definitely has that dark kind of almost like a red wine character to it.
But it's not tannic really.
Stewy and awesome. No.
Yeah.
No.
The wine influence I would say is pretty minimal, but it's definitely it's like the wine has influenced the character in such a way that's not wine, It just rounded out the edges a little bit. Made it I mentioned it tastes like dirt. It just softens that up a bit, adds more layers. Yeah, man, I'm big on that.
That's really silky texture. I mean, I was waiting a long time for this, and I'm not disappointed. That's my kind of whiskey for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
That's really, really good. Oh,
I'm looking through the comments here.
Yeah, go ahead, please. I'm just going to bask in the loveliness of this one.
A question from Tamar says, Ben/Tom, can you talk about how many casks the SMWS has come as new make, and the society has total control over the casks used for the life of the whiskey, and how many casks from the distillery? Hold on. So let me back up, Tom. So how many casks this SMWS has came as new make? I mean, I guess I think the question, Tom, you're asking other Tom now is, of all the casks in our warehouse, how many have we taken in as new make and watched mature or allowed to mature under our control for the entirety of its lifetime? Is that correct? I mean, I'm sorry. I'm apologies if I'm misinterpreting the question. I mean, I can speak that, but Tom, do you have a solid answer?
Well, I want to make sure that we understand the question first before I go peddling answers. Yeah. Okay. So, by and large, we have a lot more control from start to finish with newer distilleries than we do with the larger kind of established ones. There's a bit more bandwidth for kind of proposing our own sort of protocol from day one, like straight off of the still, with a burgeoning brand new distillery than with a kind of a stalwart that's been around for decades, if not centuries. So, at the end of the day, it's a very small amount of whiskey coming off the still that we have complete control of before it even goes into its first cask. Now, that said, we're trading with distilleries, by and large, they're usually coming to us in first fill ex bourbon, in refill hoggies, with like Distillery 16 for the most part. All of that is in a recharred hogshead. But then it's our choice. It's essentially Ewan's choice as our spirit manager to decide, is this liquid going to stay in this vessel, or are we going to play around Are we going to transfer it into another vessel for a secondary maturation? As you've seen with our deep dive in distillery number 24, sometimes he'll take a few of those, recask them all, and then put them into secondary maturation casks. So there's a lot of experimentation that Ewan does, and we have that liberty to kind of play around and push the envelope of flavor profiles and what we can get out of them, out of the whiskey that we have in our stocks. So, I'm sure it's really fun to be able to shape the whiskey straight off of the still from day one. But realistically, that's not something we get to do very often.
Mm-hmm. Going back to this, I haven't added water because again, 48.1%.
I'm not adding water.
48.7%.
Go ahead, dude. Go ahead.
No. I'm just saying it's so perfect as is.
But that's just to perhaps belabor this point a bit. That's what's really fun, I think, about where we are today. We're an established club. We have established relationships. And thus, we have, I think, in a way, the confidence to really experiment and push those boundaries a little further and see what kind of cool whiskey we can come up with. And I'm sure it's not always like a home run. And to answer Wyatt's question, we have the ability to sell off to a blender. And, that's what we can do if something doesn't quite work out the way we want it to. But of course, everything is approved by our tasting panel. So, and that's about 99.9% of what we're producing. All right, Ben. We're rolling up on 9 p.m. Can we move on? Shall we move on?
Let's move on for sure.
Okay.
2 more whiskeys tonight. Tom, take us to number 5.
Two more whiskeys. So where have we been? We've been in the very northern Highlands, then the very eastern Highlands, central Speyside, back to the eastern Highlands, and now we are in the lovely, lovely Ben, a place you and I shared and love.
Oh yeah.
We are in Campbelltown. This is cask 93.169 inside the engine room. 17 years old in a refill ex-bourbon barrel. So, hogshead. So this is a refill ex-bourbon hoggy. So probably one of the less active casks we've seen tonight.
Mm-hmm.
17 years. I'm not sure we've seen a 17-year-old since our tasting panel experience release. Actually, no. I guess we just released one last month.
Yeah,
was that 17 or 18 years old? I guess that little tidbit would have been cool if I was on the stream last month. But we do have another 93 in the store right now.
Yeah,
that's also 17, but lightly peated. This is oily and coastal, totally different.
Yeah.
So let's get into her.
Looking around, I was like, where is that thing?
Yeah, there is most certainly a whiskey on our site right now that is also 17 years old. From Distillery 93.
This is what I can go for right now.
Forgive me, it's 18 years old.
Yeah,
93.163 in a Guianese barrel. So
yeah. That's the rum cask is very, very different. This is a straight shooter bourbon hogshead, coastal sort of malt whiskey without any major influence being that it doesn't. Yeah. In a refill,
look at that color. I mean, it's a refill hogshead, but
this is
you're not getting that kind of color from a totally inactive cask. So this could very well be a third fill or fourth fill.
Scotch on the Bayou says this may be my birthday bottle. Do you mean to say that your birthday is February 20th, or just your birthday is coming up and you want to order it your birthday? Either way you win. About, my friend.
You win. Yeah.
But do clarify, Scotch on the Bayou. No, I was just Tom and I were talking earlier before we went live, and I was just saying that from Distillery 93, or really all of Campbelltown. There's only 3 distilleries there, different styles, unpeated, peated, of course, all different types of casks. There's a lot going on under just 3 different distilleries. But the one whiskey that I for whatever reason, I'm really leaning toward is something like this, sort of a mid-teen American oak refill cask that just allow and primarily like sort of lightly peated or unpeated, just allows that coastal influence and that spirit to really just sort of shine through, which is something totally unique within the spectrum of Scotch whiskey as a whole. So I get excited when I see these on paper. Always, it's like a no-brainer.
Yeah, you were really stoked for this.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always stoked for a 93. Whether it's 7 years or 17 years old, I mean, these are dynamite. But
it's a little bit of seaweed, like I spent a long time since I've actually eaten seaweed, so maybe I'm off there, but it does evoke like sort of a smell of seaweed, a little bit like a licorice type of sort of element to it. But it's interesting that the engine oil name, or inside the engine room, to me, it's not as industrial as a lot of Campbelltown whiskeys. I feel like it's sort of on the lighter side of that. It's sort of just a more quaffable, this gentle sort of like salinity type of experience.
Well, can I let you in on a secret?
Yeah.
So the original title was Mussels, like mussels that you would eat.
Okay.
Mussels inside an engine room.
Okay.
The TTB didn't like that so much, so we had to ixnay on the Ussels May. But yeah. So there was originally in the purest form of the tasting panel's vision, a very hard kind of nod of a tip of the cap rather to that shellfish kind of coastal vibe, which sadly couldn't make it on our bottle for compliance reasons.
Yeah. And I will echo Scott's sentiment. Happy 35th birthday to Scotch in the Bayou this Friday.
Yeah. Cheers. Happy birthday.
Cheers. 35 is a great year. And I'm just going to trust that it is your 35th birthday. Anyway, but nonetheless, I thought it was
remember it fondly.
20. I was guessing 28, my friend. But let's it's funny, the shellfish element is definitely there. And when you said that, I was like, oh, okay, this was originally the name. And it's more present than that engine oil. But again, I'm just going off the aroma here. Yeah. Well, anyway.
So Malty Alti is asking, how does this compare to 93.140? I have it right behind me. Should I grab it? Is that crazy?
It's not crazy. I have another one right here. This was what was this one? 93.128 Smoke and Smugglers, which was another one, 17-year-old from the same distillery. Clearly, we have affinity for these types of casks.
How old is yours?
This is another one. Remember this, the festival from
17?
Yeah, this is 2020.
All right.
Campbelltown
Festival. Get 93.140.
It's like very
and another tasting glass. Well, I guess I could use this. Improv. Gotta love it. Hey, who won that tasting card earlier, by the way? The gift card, rather.
I thought it was Daniel Cleric.
Was it Daniel? Okay. Please remind me of that. I got to send that to him. Daniel, I haven't forgotten you, clearly. So, I've got 2 whiskeys. I'm swishing in front of me, swirling. 93.140, which, in fairness, has been open on my shelf for a year now. So there's that. I opened 93.169 about an hour ago. 93.140 is a bit more mentholic. Touch more kind of like a spearmint or wintergreen kind of vibe to it. A little less. Oh, now the smoke's coming. A little less of that sort of shellfish, seaweed kind of vibe on the 93 140 versus the 93 169. 169 definitely is more, you're like on the rocks, like on the shore, kind of tiptoeing through there, and kelp washing up and things like that. It's low tide for sure. Whereas with 93 140, it's a simmering campfire type thing going on. Yeah. Wow.
That was quite great service, in-depth comparative review.
140 is really like kind of very minty these days. Interesting.
But this whiskey, I think, relative to maybe just that, not that one, but I mean, more broadly speaking, I find it's a bit warmer. So maybe there's a bit more cask influence. Like it's a bit more of a buttery texture just on the palate. It's
this
not
one we're tasting now than
the
169
for me. It's warmer, it's more buttery bread, less of sort of a cold and coastal whiskey. More oak influence, I think, is what it is. Not like overly oaky, but it's definitely had an influence on the spirit and its development. It's absorbed more of the cask character itself. I mean, for me at least, I don't know. You have a similar experience?
No. I mean, like what you're throwing down, I'm totally picking up, man. Especially that kind of warm, buttery. It's a textural thing. It's a very textural experience.
Yeah. Oh. But on the finish,
I mean, that's 17 years where you really sense that integration. It's kind of moving in unison throughout the palate, and I mean, there's still plenty of complexity. None of those angles. So we talked earlier, or at least I was talking earlier about, sometimes with a whiskey, is it sort of elbowing its way down your throat, or is it just gliding? And this one is seriously gliding. It's really, really nice.
Yeah, I think from the aroma to sort of the mid palate, sort of the middle of the tasting experience, I may not have if I were tasting this blind, may not have known this was our Campbelltown whiskey. But in the finish, you have a bit of that minerality and engine oil or engine grease type of element to it that is 100%, I think, evocative of Campbelltown. You know what I mean? Like, at the end, it was like, oh, there it is.
There's a kind of a tasting note that the panel has released before. They talk about bicycle chain, and that's very, very much what I get here on the finish.
Yeah, right at the end.
That's where that oiliness comes in, and very, very earthy, not quite medicinal, but super close. It's not the TCP iodine type thing going on, but it's really, really close to that. So yeah, beautiful stuff, really good stuff.
So that's that. We're about to go into our last whiskey of the evening, and before we do that, I want to do a little trivia question. This is just an impromptu. I haven't even told Tom I'm doing this, so surprise, Tom.
No, you haven't. Please, can I answer?
No, you can't answer. What are you?
I want a gift card.
So
I get a gift card.
This is impromptu. I'm taking control here, and this is a simple question, or maybe it's not so simple. Maybe it's the luck of the draw. So the first three people in the chat who answer this multiple choice question correctly, just go ahead and add it to the chat. I'll be pulling the order from YouTube. I have actually, we're streaming through our streaming software, but I have YouTube up to see sort of in real time in the live chat who responds quickest to the draw. The first three responders will get a $25 gift card to this question, and I'm going to post this up here as a banner, and let's see how this comes up. As the world's largest whiskey club, the Scotch Malt Whisky Society has approximately 30,000 members around the globe. How many live in the USA? A, 900, B, 2,750, C, 5,000, or D, 12,500. Go ahead. Let's hear your answer. First,
I know correctly. The answer to that, by the way.
Oh, that's good. So do I. But we'll receive a $25 gift card. And here come the respondents. Getting a lot of bees. Whoa. Keep going. They're all coming through right now. Think about it. 30,000 members of the club around the world. In the United States, there are how many? A, 900 members. B, 2,750. C, 5,000. Or D, 12,500. We get a lot of different answers, and this is not something I would expect anyone to really know. I mean, it's not something we really talk about publicly, but there's something to hide here.
Yeah, quite frankly, I'm surprised, Ben. I'm surprised that you came with this. All right.
I'll give you some more context. Of the 30,000 members, the United States is currently the second largest chapter in the world. Behind the United Kingdom, which has really been running for longer, but sort of we're on track to sort of maybe surpass the UK in the near future. I don't know.
I mean, if it's up to us,
it's quite literally my job, so I'm just
yeah.
No,
please, everybody who's watching, help Ben out. Refer a friend, for Christ's sake. His job and livelihood depend on it. Please.
Yeah. So the correct answer is C, 5,000. There are just over, at this point, 5,000 members of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society in the U.S.
I mean, quite frankly, that's incredible to me that whiskey this good is not being consumed by more Americans. But that's our that's what that's our charge, is to increase awareness and spread the good word. And hopefully you guys can help us with that.
Well, yeah. So congratulations to let's see who got C. I have here Jim Carroll is the first answer, C. J Mac says C, and Jonathan Galloway has also guessed C. Quite a few others guessed C, but I think I see a good spread here. So I would say for the three of you whose names I just called out, go ahead and shoot me an email, Ben@SMWSA, and I'll go ahead and respond with the $25 gift card. By tomorrow. Let's call it that way. Because I have another whiskey to drink, and I'm going to go revisit some of these. And so tomorrow you'll be receiving your $25 gift card. And if you shoot it to me now, you'll get it before the outturn. So there you go.
All right.
That's good. So thank you all for playing on this impromptu trivia session. Tom, let's cap this out. Whiskey number 6. The bonus whiskey. We always do 5. You chose to do 6. Surprisingly.
I did indeed. Yeah.
What do we got?
We got to end with some full-on peat. So 93, the 93-169, right? That was that was their heavily peated, which comes in at what, maybe 20 parts per million or so, 15, 20 parts per million. We wanted to bring a little more intensity, and quite frankly, I think this is one of the most mouth-watering whiskeys I've ever had. This is Distillery 42, cask number 63, 42.63, First Aid Kit. Nice little play on words there. 13 years old, and we're looking at a refill ex-bourbon Hoggy.
This is
this is the peated version, kids. So unfortunately, at some point in the earlier days of the society, they decided not to give this distillery 2 different codes. So there are other distilleries that have multiple codes under the same roof. This one does not. It was sort of a thing that happened so long ago that they couldn't undo it. So forgive us. Some of these expressions are unpeated. Some of them are peated. And as many of you may know, there are very, very different expressions coming out of this distillery on the Isle of Mull. But this guy is, let's say, far smokier than its counterpart. Ben, when you stick your nose in here, oof!
Dude, I'm just like, all I'm doing
that's
is my nose.
Somehow nose watering, not mouth watering, like nose watering. Like there is something so briny and awesome about this.
You're talking about like distillery codes, logistical quarrels, and I'm just like sticking my nose in this thing and realizing just how alive it really is. You know,
Well, I
it's
mean, listen, this was a very important. This is a very important thing to a lot of members, a lot of old school members
yeah,
about the
for sure.
42 like being two very different styles. It should be different numbers. They're not. Whatever. Who cares? You're right. Let's focus on the juice.
This
And the
this
juice
is
is wild.
this is as coastal and medicinal and intense as I'm trying to think of a lot of whiskeys from Distillery 53 and Isla. Like it tasted blind. It's you know, it's funny, the island peated island whiskey. It's so similar. You probably I would mistake this for that. I would probably bet on it with my money. I would say that I know what this is. This is an Isla whiskey for sure. And that's just off the aroma alone, you know. And Steve says probably has something to do with 42 being the answer to the question. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is like,
hell yeah, man.
This is like if you were to take like brined green olives and chuck like some Atlantic seawater in there, like you might get close to what we're smelling.
Here's an interesting thing too, and I know I mean I see this myself. Color should not be judged color shouldn't be taken too seriously because it only tells you so much. But for a 13-year-old whiskey, this has the color of a typical 7-year-old, I would say. You know, in a refill ex bourbon hogshead.
Well, see, that's actually a really good. All right, so I'm gonna
look at this. Look at this. This is like,
God help me. I'm gonna pour more of this 93 169.
He just loves that 93 169. But look at this thing. This is like a light sort of Sauvignon Blanc, 2-year-old.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we're gonna peddle wine references, so these are both from a refill hogshead. So your 42 here, very much a Sauvignon Blanc Sancerre, and your 93 here, also from a refill hogshead on paper, the same exact barrel. This is more like aged Viognier, like this is like a Sauvignon of some sort. So same cask on paper, what different colors, and that just goes to show that a refill hogshead that's third or fourth usage versus a refill hogshead that's probably at the very end of its life as a cask. Those are going to give you very, very different experiences. Anyway.
Adam Clare says an amazing 6 bottles, the best on paper live tasting I've watched yet. And you know what? I'm going to agree. That this lineup we've had has been, just tasting this myself, this is the single best lineup I think I've ever had at an Outturn preview tasting. And I mean, well, maybe I'll
tell
think
you
about
what.
it a little bit.
But why don't we try and outdo ourselves for December?
Okay.
We should try and outdo ourselves.
Let me see what's coming.
We should try. I mean, let me ask you folks a question. Like, does it make sense to taste $1,000 bottle of whiskey on the air? I don't know. I mean, I thought about it. Like there is
Tom
one cask. Of course I want to, but I mean, at some point it's like it's kind of counterintuitive to what we're doing.
This whiskey. I'm sorry. Yeah. Go on about your $1,000 bottle. I just tasted this thing. Oh.
It's fucking intense, man. It's really good.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Answer. Yeah. No. I support Tom's question. And I like the point. First of all, Scotch Malt Whisky is most exciting event about an Outturn in a while. And Kevin Dutcher says, if it'll make you happy, taste it. I like
Kevin,
that line.
Thank you. I like that. I like that a lot. Live in the now, man. Like
Daniel Cleric says, isn't that the unboxing?
Right.
Daniel should be our marketing guy. Because he's right. There's a conflict of interest there in our unboxing series. No, I mean, come on.
Well, we could just do a separate tasting. We could do a separate stream where we just do crazy expensive bottles. But I mean, at the end of the day, I would like to think that we're a bit more blue collar than that. So, I mean, whatever, as blue collar as you can be with your least expensive bottle of whiskey being $95. I don't know. You and I think, Ben, are like kind of grassroots dudes. So in any case,
I
I feel
think
like
we can speak candidly and say one needn't spend, that kind of money. I mean, all these whiskeys are ridiculously good,
sure.
But but if we're looking for an excuse, I am all for it. I'm not gonna say. It's not like
Fuck
I say
it,
no.
let's do it. Anyway,
but man, I can't think of.
so in a blind tasting, would you say, oh yeah, this is Isle of Mull? Like,
No.
I can't say I've tasted enough of that to pick up on any like certain like really specific characteristics, but I would think we
an
were
entire dram of this island whiskey all over my desk, which is both a good
awesome.
and bad thing. You say, awesome.
No, that's great. I've spilled before, man, and I've thanked myself for days after. But shit, like this is. I feel like I've just gotten off the ferry at Portiscag. Both of those distilleries, 53 and 10, like in this glass.
Okay, well, now that my entire home office smells like this whiskey, I can really speak to its aromatic properties, and it smells hella good. My MacBook agrees because it is also tasting this whiskey, and man, the first of all, the palate is just a huge surprise. Okay, actually, there's a little bit left. I started with a full dram, and there's a little bit left. It's such It's such
really
a
good.
raw. It's such a raw and visceral whiskey. There's a bit of sort of like an agave element to it, maybe,
Yes.
but maybe sort of a burnt,
like a Blanco tequila type thing. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I was gonna say mezcal because obviously it's smoky and that's a sort of on the surface thing, but absolutely, there's a bit of that going on too. It's malty. It's cold. The peat, like you can really taste the bricks of peat. It's all there. Oh, dude, it's the vanillins. It's like sort of a little bit of sort of like cake icing. Like it's just sort of fading off my palate, and it's more and more.
Keep going. Yeah.
No, I mean it's fine. I'm just
awesome.
talking about it, and more things are coming. It's so multi-dimensional that this is what I look for in a peat whiskey. And like I said, I probably would have suspected it was from Isla just by default, but there's a reason why so many people go for this spirit from this distillery, and we don't see that often at all. So when it comes around, there's a reason why everybody jumps on it, and I guess I haven't always really understood that, but I think I'm starting to right now. And Evan says, "Love the name on this one, Thursday Kit."
I mean, it's been a bit of a unicorn in the context of our club, Yeah, I've had other independent bottlings that have been fucking stellar, like really, really good. But again, I mean, we've been a club for almost 40 years for a reason. I mean, we get really good whiskey, and this is another really good example of that.
No, but I mean, then that was my point earlier. It's like all these. This is the first time I can honestly say, just when we do these streams, everybody. I mean, we're only ever honest because the good thing about, you'd imagine for us, is these whiskeys come and go. We don't have to love them. So if we do, we tell you. We kind of feel like we're a members club. We feel obligated that we want you to really buy something that you'll love. But I will say, this is the first time I genuinely, if I were to pick a favorite or a standout tonight from this moment, I cannot pick one. I can't pick one. And I maybe I don't advertise that openly in the past. Usually I have one or two that really kind of like, okay, this is the ones I'm going to go for. There are at least 3 or 4 here that I just can't pick. I made a comment about this is my Thanksgiving whiskey. I changed my mind maybe, or maybe I'm not gonna drink one whiskey on Thanksgiving. Come on. But the reality is there's like so many good ones here. This is the best lineup I think we've had. And
I did my job. I mean, basically.
All right, credit Tom.
If I can get you to say I can't choose one.
No, of course you can.
That's awesome, man. I'll
choose the next one. I'll choose the next one, and then we'll all talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, that
I
sounds
have to look at
good.
the December line. No, this was absolutely fantastic. I want to go ahead and real quick show the other whiskeys that are coming out. Now, typically we have a very well put together, creative little overview that's color coded and shows all the flavor profiles. As we're sort of about to go live, we realize that's not here tonight, so I put together a quick little spreadsheet to at least show you the full whiskeys. And so um, this is for all my fellow Microsoft Excel users here. Let me go ahead and pull this up. So in this spreadsheet form, which is a bit of a business insider look.
Waiting with bated breath here. Oh, beautiful! Look at that. That is gorgeous, man.
Book
That is
2.
gorgeous.
Here we go, everyone. Book 2. So
we could only do 6 whiskeys tonight, right? So,
yeah.
God.
Now, being that I just put this together just a few minutes ago, looking through this, of course, cask 0.58 is actually cask 5.80. There's a couple like the
5.80.
The zeros, Excel drops the zeros, and I just did this real quickly. So, but nonetheless, here's the full list. I've sort of sorted this in cask number. We've had 6 of these, 15 in total. And what else kind of speaks to you, Tom, that we haven't tasted? I know you chose the lineup for tonight, but were there others that you considered including, or others that sort of catch your attention?
Well, sure. I mean, 12.54 was the one I was talking about.
Oh,
of course, we want to try that.
Okay.
And that's another whiskey that spent its whole life in sherry cask, 31 years old. You got to draw a line somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. I mean, 10.217 Journey to the Fest in a heavy toast medium char hogshead.
Mm-hmm.
That's one that certainly spoke to me. 48. I'm just going to say 48 is one of the most underrated distilleries out there. I think their whiskeys are really complex and super awesome. I mean, I love a good worm tub, and they are spot on with that. So that's one that I would have loved to show. I thought the 52 would be probably a little more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then 95.51 Tropical Dreams. So we've been releasing a lot of rums. We repurposed those rum barrels for aging whiskey, and we like to use those. And lastly, I guess 108 Cornucopia of Curiosities. That's a sleeper peated whiskey out of the Speyside. So that's another one that I would spot out there. But yeah, all good stuff. It's pretty loaded. And the mid-month outturn is going to be pretty loaded as well. You guys can just look forward to that throughout the end of the year.
Yeah, so go ahead and take a screenshot if you'd like of this beautiful spreadsheet I just whipped together. This is how we look at whiskey every day, is just on this spreadsheet. Go ahead, screenshot now. I'm about to stop. But yeah, a great lineup. And of course, the 6 we had tonight were all fantastic. Any closing remarks, Tom? You want to share first? I guess I should thank you, because just enjoying this whiskey has been such a privilege. I know we do this off on the channel, but really,
it's my pleasure, man. It's always nice to see you and be able to. We're in the trenches most days, kind of doing things that maybe aren't so fun. But this is awesome. This is a lot of fun for me, and it's always a pleasure to be a part of it.
Yeah, so, a couple of comments I just want to address, though, too, just from the crowd here, from chat. The first one was, which one is the bottle of the month? And it was actually the first one on that list, which is the 5.80.
Yeah, the 5.80. That's the first Lowland triple distilled whiskey we've had in a while. So look forward to that.
And the other one, I'm trying to go back and scrolling through, is Jonathan Galway brought up a good point. We were talking about the number of members in the club, and you were kind of cheekily asking people to go refer a friend, and obviously, and the comment was, but if we tell people about the society, we have less chance to get the good bottles. And it's funny. I mean, obviously, it's convenient. It sounds convenient for me to say this, but the truth is, as we've grown in the U.S., when I started in 2018, we've grown considerably. At the time, I remember when we came, there was like a handful of bottles every month, and we in the U.S. got sort of like 4th pick, of all the whiskeys that the society was bottling. in terms of determining what's coming over here. And Tom is the one who gets to pick what's coming over here. And maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but as we've grown, I feel that we've gotten top priority of the whiskeys for members here in the U.S. We've been able to have such cool experiences for members in the U.S. and we just get more of it. So it's funny because yes, with more members, it does seem like, well, there's less to go around of each individual cast, but I've just seen the volume of cast, quality has gone up.
It's a virtuous circle. So more people join us. We need more whiskey. We get more of the good stuff, and so it goes. So so it's a good problem to have a lot of members. So we'll continue, and I'll certainly that's one of my primary roles is to fight for the good whiskey and make sure that we get that, because as you mentioned earlier, Ben, at some point soon we're going to eclipse the UK in the number of members we have, and it's important to keep our members in the US happy and keep them interested, and you do that through awesome whiskey and enough of it to fulfill everyone's thirsts.
So share and enjoy. Such an attitude will always pay dividends. Well, that's what it's about. I mean, we are
indeed,
of course, not the typical whiskey brand of any sort. We're a club. We are us. We're all of us. And right. It's true that two of us have had a chance to tonight taste through this new lineup, but it sounds like a lot of you are having quite fantastic drams at home as well. And tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern time, we'll be dropping the official Outturn. So, some of these might move quickly. I always advise, carve out some time at 1 o'clock Eastern tomorrow if you can. Log in online, give us a call. Probably quicker online, I think, than calling us. We are a small team, of course. And as you noticed from that trivia question, there are 5,000 members in the U.S. So you'll probably
it's us and 3 more people. So, that's what you got, folks.
Yeah. And Tamar said, fight the good fight, Tom.
Hey, we're always fighting the good fight.
2 times. You 2 times need to go have a whiskey sometime. I've met Tamar. He's a great guy. And I know Tom S. This is melancholy.
I'd love to meet Tamar sometime.
So, all right, guys.
Anyway,
signing off.
Hopefully we can all have a dram together pretty soon.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Off. I'm going to pick one of these 6,
man.
and I'm not going to tell you which one it is. But Slanja, everybody. Cheers.
Slanja. Take care, everybody.
Talk to you soon.
Be well.